Well, 16 days until we're due to leave the EU. Of course, that's not going to happen. And MPs have overwhelmingly rejected Theresa May's withdrawal deal for a second time by another thumping majority against her.
Are we now looking at no deal, endless delays, a general election, no Brexit? Joining us from Westminster, the Deputy Chairman of the Conservatives, James Cleverly. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
My goodness, you've got to put a smile on things this morning, haven't you, Mr Cleverly?
That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, that's what you're here to do. But you're here to deliver Brexit, and there are 17.4 million people who voted for it who now think it's not going to happen on the 29th of March and are worried that actually it might not happen at all. How can you make them smile?
Well, I completely understand their concerns, and I share some of those concerns, which is the reason why I voted for the withdrawal agreement last night, because it was there in our grasp, in our fingertips, the opportunity to deliver on the referendum result that we got in 2016, to discharge the instruction given to us by the British people, to leave in good order and in a way that protects the economic growth that we've seen since we've entered government in 2010. So I voted for it for that reason. I'm going to continue doing everything I can to make sure that we honour the referendum results. And I know this is absolutely the Prime Minister's position as well, to honour the referendum result and get us out of the EU as per instructions.
The trouble is,
and in good order.
But James Cleverly, the problem is that the Prime Minister had said that we were going to come out of the customs union and out of the single market. And the withdrawal agreement keeps us in a customs union until the EU decides we can leave it. And the trouble is, she went off to Brussels or Strasbourg. She said, actually, I've come back and we can get out of this unilaterally. We can decide. And her Attorney General said, oh, no, we can't.
That's not quite how it worked, and details matter on this.
The legal situation remained unchanged.
The situation that the backstop was designed to address was the unique circumstance on the Northern Irish border, which would be the only external physical land border that the United Kingdom had with an EU member state. And because of the history of Northern Ireland, it is incredibly sensitive. So that presented a challenge. The temporary backstop in the withdrawal agreement was to address that specific challenge. And whilst it is absolutely the case, and the Attorney General made this clear, that the withdrawal agreement does not have a unilateral walk-away position, he also made it clear that the text that we got back from the EU made it much easier for us to demonstrate if the EU were acting in bad faith and use that as an extradition mechanism.
Then how come you couldn't persuade 149 MPs that this was a deal worth voting for? Because that was the defeat.
Well, again, it's not quite how it's presented, because a defeat of 149 does not get overturned with 149 MPs, because, of course,
but you had another historic defeat last night, James Cleverly.
Yeah,
you can explain the maths to me all you like, and you can explain to me the detail all you like. The trouble is, the leadership of Theresa May, the leadership of the government, is not persuading enough MPs to back her deal. And now it looks like Brexit's not going to get delivered at all. And the thing is, to be fair, you're not persuading anyone.
Well, again, I don't want to keep pulling you up on these, because you're making statements and they're just not true.
Sorry, is it true that you didn't get the withdrawal agreement through yesterday? Can we agree on that?
Can I answer the first question, and I'll come on to that one? So you said that we're not persuading anyone. A significant number of people, including David Davis, including Nadine Dorries, including people who passionately voted against the withdrawal agreement in its first version, voted with the government for this withdrawal agreement this time. These are passionate Brexiteers. David Davis has been, and I've not always agreed with him, a passionate critic of the direction
Cleverly,
and he voted.
You're dancing on the head of a pin, I'm afraid.
It is not dancing on the head of a pin.
You have had the three. You've had two of the three. Let me just say something. You have had two of the three biggest drubbings in the history of Parliament, right? Both on Theresa May's watch. She's lost her plan twice. She's lost the support of her own party. She's lost the support of the country. She's even lost her own voice right? At what point does Theresa May do the decent, honourable thing, which any other Prime Minister in history would have done by now, and resign and let somebody take over who can actually lead this damn country? Because right now, you guys have dragged Britain
Piers,
into the position of being a global laughingstock, and the public, the British public, are sick and tired of it.
If the Prime Minister were to stand down, that would not change the parliamentary maths. It would not change the situation with the relationship and the history of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. It would not change the attitude of the EU 27. The circumstances that the Prime Minister is faced with are incredibly challenging and unique, and changing the person that sits behind the big black door at number 10 won't make any of those difficulties go away.
I couldn't disagree with you more. Why do you keep defending the indefensible? You come on here time and again defending Theresa May, right? When everyone could see yesterday in the House of Commons, with great respect to Theresa May, that she is a busted flush. She has lost authority. She's lost her power. Well, try to explain to me why she hasn't.
So would a change of personality magic up more Conservative MPs? Would it automatically...
I'll tell you what does change things. I'll tell you what does change things. A strong leader can change a lot of things. And here's what I've always thought about this from the start. She's a Remainer. Theresa May, at her heart, is somebody who voted Remain and doesn't believe in Brexit. And I wrote a column a year and a half ago saying she will end up with the most gigantic fudge over this because her heart's not in it. And that's exactly where we've ended up. There's no binary choice here. There is no clarity, no decision-making. Everyone is running for the hills. No one wants to take responsibility. Nobody wants to lead. And this country is going to hell in a handcar because our politicians, who we pay your salaries, have collectively lost the plot. And so I say to you, yeah, you can all keep saying there is no alternative to Theresa May. Or at some point, one of you can man up, woman up, person up, whatever language you want to use, and say, enough of this, I'm taking charge and we're going to sort this mess out. Because right now, this is a shambles. Do you agree with that?
No. Unsurprisingly, I don't agree with that. For a whole load of reasons. As I've already said, changing the Prime Minister won't magic up new numbers in Parliament. It won't eradicate the very, very sensitive situation on the Northern Irish Republic of Ireland border. But more than that, if we did initiate a change of leadership, that would take months, because that's how long the Conservative Party process is for finding a new leader. That is time that we could and indeed should be spending getting a deal sorted, getting ourselves out of the European Union.
You can't get a deal, Mr. Cleverton. You can't get it for the reasons that your own Attorney General laid out very clearly. Right?
There is a deal.
The Irish backstop is an immovable, irredeemable, unsolvable problem. Everybody knows it, right? The EU is not going to move anymore. They've made that crystal clear.
I would like to address that point particularly, because I've spoken to a number of people, both politicians and business people, in a number of European countries, and I have no doubt in my mind that we would never enter the backstop. And I'll tell you why. Because in the backstop, yes, we are in the customs union single market without a unilateral exit mechanism. We saw that yesterday. But we get control of our borders. We come out of the financial commitments that we've got. We regain control of fisheries.
Here's what you're not getting. Yeah, but look, with respect to you, what you're not getting, well, I know you may find this exasperating. I find what's been going on in Parliament exasperating.
Those European countries do not want us anywhere near that backstop.
No, here's the real point, and you know it. You know this is the real point. We have not won the right in our negotiations with the EU to unilaterally remove ourselves from effectively a customs union. The British public voted to leave the European Union, not to have an open-ended relationship with them. I didn't agree with it. I voted against it. I voted Remain. I would again. But we voted to leave, not to stay in an open-ended relationship with the EU of a customs union form. And you know, and I know, and the Attorney General has confirmed this, that as the wording of this document stands right now, that is where we are. It is open-ended and we cannot unilaterally leave. And that's the problem. Everybody knows that's a problem. So it's not Brexit. Theresa May's plan simply isn't Brexit. And that is why she keeps getting a drubbing in the Commons. And you can sit here and pretend that's not what this is about, but you know, I know, every politician knows, and pretty much everyone in the country knows that is the problem.
You done?
I'm done.
Right, OK. So the point is there are a number of ways of exiting the backstop. For example, agreeing trade relationships, that gets us out the backstop. Or if there are technical solutions to the customs check on the Northern Irish to Republican Ireland border, that gets out the backstop. If the EU is proven to be acting in bad faith, that gets us out the backstop. There are a number of ways. And you might focus on that last paragraph of the Attorney General's letter. The reason his letter is more than one paragraph long is because there were 18 other paragraphs explaining his legal advice, a number of which highlighted mechanisms for us leaving the customs union. And the reason I was going on about the attention to detail in some of the earlier questions is because when we are at this stage in extricating ourselves from an international treaty, detail matters, and those full 19 paragraphs, not paragraph 19, paragraphs 1 to 19.
Right, given we're still negotiating,
yeah.
Why would it make any sense to remove our #1 trump card against the EU, which is us leaving without a deal at all? Right? Why would we take that off the table, which is very likely to happen tonight?
And which way will you vote?
Well, I think that would be an error. I've made it absolutely clear.
But Theresa May is going to say that that's a good idea. She's going to vote in favour, apparently, of taking this no deal off the table.
This is so this has been presented to me as a statement of fact by a number of people this morning, none of whom can explain the provenance of it. I've heard nothing to suggest that.
Well, that's very interesting. So just to clarify,
I'm not going to speculate.
You're a senior member of the party. Mm-hmm. Presumably, you have the ear of the Prime Minister. So, are you saying that she is going to vote against removing no deal from the table?
No, what I'm saying, Piers, is I've not discussed this with her at all. I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think she's discussed this with anybody else. And what we're getting is, rumour that's being repeated until people believe it's fact.
You have no idea whether the Prime Minister, who's in charge of our Brexit negotiations for this country, you have no idea whether she personally wants to have no deal on the table or off it. And you wonder why I call this a shambles.
No, I haven't had the chance to speak to her directly since the votes last night. But you made a statement of fact, and I'm saying there is no provenance.
I'm reading the same thing that you are in the papers, which presumably is well sourced, given some of the people who've been writing it, which suggests she is going to vote in favour of removing no deal from our negotiations. To which I would say
journalists make mistakes.
Well,
journalists sometimes make mistakes.
OK, but here's the point. A senior member of the party, even you have no idea whether the Prime Minister supports keeping the no deal on the table or taking it off. And you wonder, again, why I call this a complete shambles. How can you not know? How can you, in your position, not know how the Prime Minister believes about no deal? It is a complete farce.
What I can answer is the specific question you asked of my voting intentions. I have never believed it is a sensible negotiating tactic to take no deal off the table. The House of Commons might choose to do so. I think that would be a bad move, and I will be voting against taking no deal off the table.
Why
and
has
I will
she
also
made
be
it a
voting
free
against.
vote then, rather than told everybody that that's, as leader, that's what everyone should vote for?
Well, I think there's twofold. On the one hand, there is the practical consideration of, again, the parliamentary mass. He does not have a majority, and we also know that a number of our colleagues feel very, very passionately about this. And actually, whilst Brexit is incredibly important, there are also other government departments that need running, and introducing more turbulence at this time I don't think is good management or good government in terms of things like the health service, education, or whatever else it might be.
How could you possibly introduce any more turbulence?
Well, that's the point I'm making. The point I'm making is you could, and we really don't want to.
I don't think it'd be possible.
No.
I mean, here's my overview about this, Mr. Cleverly.
Go on.
Right, you always put up a very good defence, and you keep you calm and all the rest of it, right? And it's an admirable thing. I would not want to be.
Keep calm and carry on.
I would not want to be the guy they send out on mornings like this to try and defend the indefensible, right? But the overriding feeling that people in this country now have is that we have been turned by our politicians collectively into a global laughingstock, that people are looking at us with a sense of utter ridicule, and they're crying out for somebody somewhere to just sort this mess out. And that's my belief, that Theresa May has lost any authority to actually sort this out.
So you made that point. I disagree. And more's the point, the volume of direct foreign investment into the UK also disagrees with you. The ranking of the United Kingdom as being the top destination in terms of higher education disagrees with you. Our record low levels of unemployment disagrees with you. Our record high levels of employment disagrees with you. Our record levels of disabled people in employment, women in employment, our record low interest rates, our declining deficit, our paying down the national debt, all these things disagree with you. So I don't believe that we are the things that you described us as.
Okay.
We've got a job of work,
James,
we've got to get on with it.
James, I'm going to leave it there. I'm thrilled that everything's going so swimmingly, that the country's in such great shape. It remains an utter mystery in that case, why you've just had the second biggest or third biggest defeat in history, but I'm